Bone is not new to me. But it has been on my mind since I heard its creator Jeff Smith is recovering from a heart attack, and I'm also recovering my health. I first read Bone decades ago. I used to write comics in Brazil, but it was very difficult to know about the industry in other countries as internet was barely starting. Someone recommended me to read Bone, and I imported it just based on that. I didn't really know what to expect, I just decided to take the risk as I usually did back then. The comics I received still bring me a smile and inspire me decades later. Bone tells the story of 3 characters inspired by comic strips and animated cartoons. They looked like ghost versions of the Smurfs to me. Weird. Their journey through the world is mysterious. We know they left their town and keep traveling through the world. But not much more than that in the beginning. The characters are lost, and we are lost too. The characters find their way, and we find our way too.
I'll talk about 2 marketing concepts that were very important to be about Bone: word of mouth and integration. Word of mouth is one of the most powerful forms of promotion. Its cost is usually low compared to other alternatives. Word of mouth is often an honest and authentic form of promotion, and word of mouth can quickly spread through the right target audience. The success of many brands like Google and ChatGPT relied more on word of mouth than on advertising, for example. Still, marketers rarely emphasize word of mouth. There are some important reasons for that. It's hard to control word of mouth. People can say whatever they want, not necessarily what the company wants. Because of that, companies often see word of mouth as something passive, thinking they can't do much about it. They try to provide a good product or service, and hope that people will spread word of mouth. Although I agree that word of mouth is challenging, I think marketers should have a more active role. We can show more about what the brand is doing. We can provide easier materials to share with others, for example. Oftentimes, even the employees of the company don't spread word of mouth because they have little experience and knowledge about the brand. I bought Bone because of word of mouth. It reached me, part of the right target audience, in another country, another language, before digital marketing became so important. Word of mouth is still extremely important, especially to promote services and arts. It's very hard to evaluate the quality of a product like Bone, or to know if it's the right product for me. I only knew that after I purchased Bone, read many chapters, so I could understand the experience. Word of mouth is very important to trust that the product is good and that it's the right product for me, when I can't evaluate that by myself without buying the product and having the experience. This often happens with many types of services, like a mechanic or a lawyer. This also happens with many forms of arts, like books and Broadway musicals. We usually need trusted people to recommend the products and services for us, otherwise the risk is too high. Nowadays, we have more influencers and social media spreading word of mouth. The reach is much wider, and the effect lasts much longer. On the other hand, the authenticity of digital marketing is being questioned. Major brands invest a lot to be on the first page of Google and to show their content on your timeline. People who created blogs and channels before usually can't compete against the major brands. Those creators know a lot about their content because of their passions. But they do not have the same level of knowledge, money, time, or expertise to promote their content on the internet. And now it's getting more and more difficult to find their good advice on Google or social media platforms. Depending on the industry, you can still find them on other platforms like Reddit, Discord, and Patreon. For smaller brands like Bone, word of mouth is even more important. I would never buy Bone by looking at its cover and flipping through the books. It takes time to see the value of Bone. You need to experience it. Just like I see happening to me now with Broadway musicals.
Integration is very important in marketing. We want the different parts of marketing working well together and not working against each other. For example, advertising and salespeople should support each other and not market different things. The product should be a good match for the customers. People often think that integration means to do the same thing across marketing actions. For example, they think of sending the same message on different social media platforms and different audiences. However, integration recognizes the differences but believe different platforms, people, and actions can work well together as a team. Bone does that very well. The three main characters of Bone are very different from each other. For example, one is usually goofy and happy, and another one is grumpy and whiny. But, together, they are a great cast of characters. Much better than having three similar characters. They are different, but they are close to each other, complementing each other, supporting each other. Bone also integrates genres very well. Bone is inspired by comic strips like the Smurfs. But it also resembles the journey of the Fellowship of the Ring from Tolkien's books. Bone can be extremely funny despite the stupid rat creatures. But Bone can also be a big adventure across the world full of mysterious challenges. Bone even integrates romance into the story, but it makes it so innocent that it becomes a great fit and a rare treat. I love big adventures, but I also love the moments when the three Bones talk about writing poetry to a crush. Or writing poetry to never show the crush. My thanks to Jeff Smith.